Hello and welcome to TLDR with two nerds in a truck. Today we are talking about Point Pelee National Park.
So I'm going to cut you off right there. So I'm not sure about the pronunciation. I'm pretty sure it's not Point Pelee.
Yeah?
Because I always thought it was Pele, like the soccer player. But then we got there the first time and they called it Pele. One of the staff members said Pelee and another one said Pelee.
Okay.
So this is one of those cases where I've seen it in writing far more than I've ever heard anyone actually say it. So we don't actually know how it's pronounced.
All
But
right.
there's no accent on the last two E's, so I'm going to go with it's either Pelee or Pelee. I think Pelee makes most sense, so that's what I say.
Today we are talking about the southernmost national park in Canada.
I'm not trying to be pedantic. I know however we pronounce it, someone is going to pop up and be like, that's not how you say it.
Well,
So,
I try to pronounce things correctly. I think it's respectful. So
I do too. So
yeah.
the problem is when there's multiple employees there that call them different names, so I don't know. So
Yep.
I'm going to go with Pelee.
Okay, we will go with Pelee.
Okay. Anyways, pedantry aside, so this is as you said, the southernmost part of, or southernmost national park. We talk about so many provincial parks that I guarantee I'm going to say Point Pelee Provincial Park at some point. I actually had to catch myself on saying that, so maybe not. But anyway, yeah, so this is not only the southernmost national park in Canada, it includes the southernmost tip of continental, I guess. What would you call it? Mainland Canada? Because there's an island south of that, but as far as the actual landmass of Canada, it's the southernmost point of Canada.
Correct.
It's also one of the smallest.
Yeah, I think it was like 15 square kilometers.
Yeah, it's the second smallest national park in Canada, and it's right on the birding migration path. That's why we end up going. We stay at Waitley when we go to Point Pelee. And we end up spending most of our time at Point Pelee because Point Pelee is amazing. So
it really is.
We are going to talk all about that today.
Yes.
So in terms of the basics, we've had a couple different experiences in terms of checking in now. The first time we went was a year ago, and I had a pass. I think I had a Discovery Pass at that point. And but it was just for me. No, I bought the Discovery Pass there. That was it.
You did.
And Porter had a canoe pass because he's a dirty American immigrant.
I am a new Canadian.
I know, I have to review. But anyway, so he had his canoe pass, which gives recent immigrants free access to a lot of sites here so they can get to know their new homeland. And yeah, so he got in with that, and that check-in was easy, but obviously not something that a lot of people do. And buying the Discovery Pass was quick and easy, no problem. So I just got it as a single person one because you were using out the remainder of your canoe app. And then this time around, we bought a Discovery Pass for the two of us. That went super quick and easy. There was a little bit of confusion because I'd asked for the National Parks Pass, I think it was. I can't remember how I worded it, but I forgot the name Discovery Pass. She did up a pass for us. And I was handing her my pass so she could see it was the Discovery Pass, and then she handed me back something that did not look like that. And she said something, I can't remember what she said, but it was like, and this will get us in all the national parks. And there was actually, she'd given us a pass for just Point Pelee.
Yep.
So there was a little bit of miscommunication there, but once we were on the same page, she refunded and paid the extra and whatever. So we got the pass and it was no problem. But either way, that was at like 6 a.m. or something when they opened. So it was nice to have that option because not a lot of parks are open that early.
Right.
Like sometimes parks are open that early if you already have a pass. So it was nice to be able to get there and buy the pass first thing. Super friendly service each time.
Yeah. You just drive up to the booth and chat with them and good to go. If you do have the Point Pelee Pass specifically, you can just swipe it and go right through on a different lane.
So yeah, but that does not apply to the Discovery Pass, though.
Correct.
So just to be clear on that. So yeah, so that's it as far as registration check-in. They've got a really cute map. It's folded out to, what does that fold down to? Like
4x6 maybe? Or
that's not 4x6. That's like 2.5 by 4 inches.
You can put it in
here
a pocket.
In Canada, yeah, it's pocket size. So it's super cute. It's full color. Got tons of information. I love that it's got like the difficulties and the lengths of all the trails, and it's a beautiful map. Like I get so fussy about maps, if you listen to us. I don't have any complaints about the map at all. It's pretty much perfect. So I don't say that often. So in terms of parking,
There's a lot of parking. So as you'll know very soon, there's a lot of different stops you can take on this peninsula here. So every stop has got a lot of parking available. Now we've been going there in the shoulder season, so it hasn't been very
sort
busy.
of. See, shoulder season's kind of weird because there's the main season, which is in the summer, but the shoulder season's really big for birding.
It is.
So it's like it's still popular. Like it's not like provincial parks where we'll go there in April and no one's there.
So we've gone there during times when it's not swimming weather, put it that way.
That is very true.
So but we'll get into more detail, but the swimming areas in particular do have a lot of parking.
Yeah. So now one thing to say about the parking though is that when they have events, apparently it gets crazy busy there. I overheard, see now I sound like a gossip. I overheard someone saying blah blah. No, so anyways, I was waiting to talk to someone at the visitor center, and she was on a phone call with someone that was asking about an event. Now I'm not sure what the event was because I wasn't like trying to eavesdrop or anything. But I did catch that it was something to do with birds, and the person at the visitor center told the person to get there early because people would have to park as far back as DeLaurier Trail or the Marsh Boardwalk and walk to the visitor center.
Which are kilometers away.
Yeah, I'm looking at the map here now. So the Marsh Boardwalk, 2 kilometers into the park, and the visitor center is about 6 kilometers. So yeah, it's like a 4-kilometer walk if you have to park that way. I can't imagine knowing the size of those parking lots. I can't imagine what it must be like if you've got to walk that far. And the thing is that it's not just 4 kilometers walk, it's 4 kilometers walk and several parking lots and like several decent sized parking lots to get to the Marsh Boardwalk or the, so if you're planning to go for an event, her advice was like show up basically when they open.
Yeah.
So, I'm assuming it's a birding event.
Right.
So.
I would assume that even on a busy weekend, it's not like that.
So anyways, that was just something I wanted to bring up because I found that kind of eye-opening.
Well, speaking of needing to take long walks, tell me about accessibility.
Okay, so it's actually a pretty accessible park. So I think there's only like 1 or 2... oh, no, you know what? I'm looking at the trail map now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the trails are marked as being accessible. Everything we've done has been accessible. So they're in, like, I've noticed in here we're going to go. National parks, they're really big on, like, the walkways and stuff. They're wide and they're flat and they're, you know what I mean? Like, if you think things like the Bruce Peninsula Park, like not when you're on the Bruce Trail, but when you're in the Bruce Peninsula hikes, they're flat and, not paved, but what is that, the pressed gravel?
Yeah, and I was actually going to bring that up after you told me more, but I'm going to interject it here. I saw twice that they were actually grooming the trails. It's like a crushed gravel kind of thing. Very well packed, very wide. There's no weeds overhanging the trail and things like that. So even though the trails were already in good condition, they were maintaining them to a high degree. Like I said, twice I saw the little kind of like a garden tractor with a plow kind of thing in the back, grooming it.
And I noticed, you see, on this last trip here too, we saw a crew of like 4 or 5 people like squeegeeing the road signs.
Yeah.
And washing those swing gates that gate off the areas that aren't open during parts of the season or whatever.
And even wiping down the outsides of the garbage cans and things like that. Very comprehensive cleaning.
I'm sure they do stuff like that at provincial parks. I've certainly never seen it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
it made me realize in retrospect, everything really is in great condition here, and I can see why.
And that is, I mean, not so much the signs, but like as far like as a physical accessibility issue, like the fact that they maintain their trails so well, it's a big thing because I've seen trails. I'm trying to think of specific examples, but I've seen trails that they're basically they would be accessible if not for the brush that's landed on it or the overgrowth or whatever, because there's something that's the trail is fine, but then the overgrowth doesn't get dealt with, and then I wouldn't want to see someone trying to wheel through it,
Yeah, and we've also seen ones where they've been kind of washed away,
Yeah.
And you can tell it had happened maybe even season prior.
Mhm.
They're just not maintaining them well.
Yeah.
National parks really take care of their stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming all national parks like this. We don't have a ton of experience with it, but now we've been to 3, and just stuff like their washrooms are in really great shape, and their signage. I guess that's an accessibility thing too. It's not so much a disability thing, but just access in general. Is I noticed that in the national parks, the signage is incredibly inclusive. I'm trying to think back to when we were at Bruce Peninsula this last time. They had one thing of trail signage. Was there like 5 different languages?
I don't
There was
recall.
a bunch, but it's the one where it was near the head of trails, but then it was out to as if you're Anyway, I enjoy that. I definitely enjoy seeing Ojibwe, and they had it was English, French, Ojibwe, and I can't remember what the other ones were, but it was nice to see. I enjoy seeing that kind of accessibility also. Anyways, back to disability accessibility. So yeah, they've got lots of trails that are flat, well packed, easy to use, whatever. The so the DeLaurier building exhibits, they're accessible. There's wheelchair access at Camp Henry and at the visitor center. The theater in the visitor center has closed caption theater programs, always good to see. Let's see, there's accessible bathrooms and inclusive non-gendered bathrooms at the Northwest Beach, the Tip, and the Visitor Center. And I'm sure we'll get to this in a minute, but holy crap, their bathrooms are in really great shape too, you know? So yeah, the trail's accessible. The Shuster Trail is wheelchair accessible most of the way. I think it's not labeled as being... Okay, so the thing with the Shuster Trail is the trail itself is wheelchair accessible to the end of it. It ends at a beach, and once you get to the end of the trail, it's not really accessible at the beach.
Yeah, you can't really get to the water,
No.
but you get a good view of the water.
I thought you had to step down over the...
A little bit of a dune?
We'll talk about that trail in a sec, but like, you know how it comes to that kind of end? I think you have to kind of go...
I'll put the video on this because I walked it with the video on.
Yeah, so anyways, the day use area, both the Marsh Boardwalk and Northwest Beach areas have accessible parking, picnic tables, washrooms, barbecues. And the shuttle to the Tip is also wheelchair accessible. Beyond wheelchair accessibility, I just find all their trails, like if you're in a boot or a cane or a scooter or whatever, like they're all just super accessible. Whew, that was a mouthful. How about you tell us about pets?
So dogs are very, very welcome here. The kind of a standard rule: keep them on a leash at all times. Don't leave them alone. They have to be supervised so they don't bother other people or wildlife. There's also ticks and poison ivy in the area, so keep them on the trail as much as possible. And other than that, you can take them with you even on the shuttle and go to into the visitor center.
Nice. So I didn't know about the visitor center thing. Or did I? I probably forgot. I do so many of these things that I can't even remember. We did not really go into the visitor center much this time, though. I went in to use the washroom. Yep. So anyway, connectivity. So cell service is weird in the park.
Yeah.
So
disclaimer: we are on Rogers Wireless, so your mileage may vary. Yeah.
So anyways, near the north of the park. So if you're in like Northwest Beach or the Marsh Boardwalk or anything like that, we had fantastic connectivity. Because we were doing a lot of like the birding apps and the trail apps and all kinds of stuff like that, Pokemoning. But the further south you go, the more spotty the connection goes. When you get to the visitor center, there's almost no internet there at all. And then as you go down to the Tip, there's kind of no internet for the most part, but then there's a spot kind of towards the Tip where it opens up and you get a bit of internet. So if you need cell phone coverage, it's spotty. I hear that at Camp Henry specifically, they've got like no internet there at all and no cellular reception. So
okay.
There's like a central phone you can use though. But we can get to that in a bit. Yeah, so if you're planning on needing the internet, go to like the Marsh Boardwalk area. But other than that, I wouldn't plan on checking your Facebook much.
Right.
So what can you tell us about park amenities?
So there's washrooms like everywhere here.
Everywhere.
There are so many stops, and we're going to detail these stops just in a moment. But pretty much every stop that I can think of has a washroom available,
and full washrooms too. Because I didn't see any outhouses.
Right.
They're actual like. I mean,
Flush
now they're different degrees of, I guess, not beauty, but you know what I mean. Like the washrooms in Northwest Beach are, I don't know if they're brand new or not, but they're spectacular condition. the one at the White Pines that we use that's a little bit scary. No, with the washroom's not scary. It's the walk to the washroom's a little scary. I just have this kind of association with it. We'll get to it. A little bit of sketch fest going on there.
Not scary as in, you have to have a bear spray on you.
No. I'm fussy about campground washrooms and stuff, right? So when I say scary, I usually mean outhouse, but it's not an outhouse. Anyways, there's picnic and beach areas the whole way from the entrance down to the tip of the peninsula. The visitor center tip area and Northwest Beach have the nicest washrooms. The ones at the picnic areas and beach areas tend to be a little bit older. Some of them have solar heating set up, solar water heating.
Yep.
Maybe all of them. I don't know. I saw them at a few. There's a lot of different designations these washrooms have also that we should probably cover. So the ones at the tip and the visitor center are wheelchair accessible. The ones at the Marsh Boardwalk, White Pine Tip, and Visitor Center are the only ones that are open year-round. Now, what's interesting to me is that it does not include Northwest Beach, and I know for a fact we used Northwest Beach last year, and we visited at the same time as we did this year, except this year it was closed and last year it wasn't, which was kind of odd. The seasonal-only bathrooms are Northwest Beach, Dune, Sleepy Hollow, Madbin, Jina, Black Willow Beach, and West Beach. And then there's inclusive / non-gendered washrooms at Camp Henry, Northwest Beach, the Tip, the Visitor Center. So what can you tell us about the Visitor Center then?
So the Visitor Center is really cool, and there's a park store in the Visitor Center. I'll start with the park store. It's a small section, like a small room, but it's loaded with really cool stuff. Check it out. It's kind of one of those, floor to ceiling, and has the little displays in the aisle and things like that. A lot of cool little memorabilia and things like that in there, clothing and whatnot. The rest of the visitor center has got really nice displays. There's like a children's, I want to say, craft area to the side.
Yeah, there were like puppets or toys or something in there, and it's a really cute setup. Overall, though, their visitor center is much more what's the word I'm looking for? It's subdued compared to like Bruce Peninsula. Like Bruce Peninsula was a full museum.
It is. You're right. It's small compared to Bruce Peninsula, but when you're in there, everything they have is very nice.
Yeah, it's definitely nice. It's worth going to see.
Yes,
for sure.
So day use areas.
Oh my God, there are so many day use areas there. So I'm just going to hit them from the I guess from the entrance of the park down. Or we can discuss them together. So the first one you come to is the park orientation. So it's not really like a picnic area, but it's kind of like a little welcome stop, I guess. There's a little sculpture by First Nations artist Teresa Altman, and there's a big map and some information on the park and the park's history and stuff. Apparently there's washroom facilities there, but I didn't notice them. So I don't know if you have to walk back off the path to get to them. But there's also a little short boardwalk to this lookout spot over Lake Erie. And there was a, what are those things called? Like not a periscope.
Oh, the viewing, like a binoculars, but they're mounted.
Yeah. I don't, there's a name for it. I'm sure we're going to figure it out as soon as you hit publish on this.
Yeah.
That was the first time we went there. That was when we first noticed how loud the park was, because we went first thing in the morning and there was no one there, but it sounded like a zoo. Like you said, it sounded like Jurassic Park, I think. Yeah,
it's definitely got that, jungle kind of feeling. Not that I've been in the jungle, but when you're watching a movie.
Yeah, it was very movie-like. Next one, Sanctuary.
Sanctuary is kind of a long section. Now, there's a particular spot where there's a really cool dock kind of overlooking the lake.
Yeah, and it's got like 2 parking spots there, maybe on the side of the road.
Yeah.
But it's not close to any of the parking lots.
Right, yeah. So we didn't have a ton of luck there as far as doing unique wildlife searching. We'll get to wildlife in a bit. But we've got a really nice view, and I imagine certain kind of wildlife are really attracted to that area.
Yeah, so then there's the Sanctuary picnic area, which is a little bit beyond that. I don't know, I think it's maybe half a kilometer or something. So it's a super basic little picnic nook. It's got, it was under construction when we were there first time. But there's a little picnic shelter pavilion and a seasonal washroom building and mossed over picnic tables everywhere. I thought it was really cute. I don't know that I'd want to eat off them, but it was very aesthetic, I guess. And there are grills and access to bike trails and the beach and everything. So it's a cute little picnic nook. I would be curious to see it in summer,
Yeah.
The next one's Northwest Beach.
Northwest Beach, I think, is the place to go if you're in a summer kind of a swimming kind of mood. It is beautiful. Everything from the parking lot being really large and like super well maintained.
Oh, their facilities there, like they
Yeah.
have washrooms and change. They've got 2 washroom buildings, I think, in a change room building. Pristine.
Absolutely. You walk out to the beach, they've got the picnic tables and the grills there again. And as you keep going just a little bit away from the parking lot.
Oh, the kids' play structure?
Yep,
that's
the
so
kids'
cool.
play structure, definitely. Everything is built out of what looks like driftwood. I'm guessing it's actually wood just made to look that way. But it's really cool. There's a lot of really cool little things that I definitely want to play on.
I feel jealous of kids these days because I look at a playground like that and I'm like, man, if I was like 2 feet shorter and like 30 years younger, it's just kids these days have it so good.
Yeah,
there's like a rock climbing wall.
Yeah, everything they've got there is really cool. It's kind of a destination place. They've even got like a little bike repair station there and a really cool little statue mascot kind of guy.
Yeah, that's a little selfies opportunity, isn't it?
Yep.
So, anyways, love Northwest Beach. I don't think we're ever going to be able to get there for summer though, because they don't have camping. They just have the authentic camping. So
right.
It's not really an option for us. But I would love to see that on a summer day.
Yep.
So the next one you come to is the Marsh Boardwalk, which is probably your favorite place in the whole park.
I was definitely about to say it is my favorite place. So this one kind of combines a destination and a trail. So
and the birding. Like we're gonna end up duplicating what we talk about a few times just because like we want to cover each area, but then we talk about the Marsh Boardwalk area as a day use area. But then there's also a trail involved, and there's also a huge birding spot. So we'll come back to this.
Yeah, well, but real quick though, this parking lot is actually one of the exceptions where it's not really in great condition. There were a few ruts in there. It's a gravel parking lot. It is fairly large, and then there is a food building next to it.
Well, they do the rentals there, so I think they do have like a restaurant type thing there. But yeah, they did have. We go there in the off season, and we usually go there first thing in the morning. So anything is not really open. We've still never been in there. It is a concession stand and an outfitter company, and they rent the canoes and bikes and whatnot. There's also a vehicle charging station there.
Oh yeah.
So, and then the thing that's interesting to me though is, I guess one thing that's interesting is we've seen a couple references now to blue heron, right? And not blue heron as in a bird, the blue heron, but it'll say go to blue heron or blue heron has a washroom or whatever. I don't know if it's a new area or if it's an old area or if it's been changed or not, but on the birding apps, blue heron shows up as a hotspot for birds. And somewhere, I think it was on the map or something, like one of the official publications or whatever from Point Pelee mentioned blue heron's washrooms. Now, so far as we can tell, there's a trail from the Marsh Boardwalk area that goes out kind of north to a little washroom building. I think that is blue heron. There's no signage to say that.
Right, and that I was going to mention that too. It's, I would say, not even a block away. It's not within visual sight when you're in the Marsh Boardwalk area, but it's a very short walk. I think there is parking there as well, but you're right, there's no sign there.
Yeah, but I think that is considered as part. Well, I don't know. They might be making that as their own thing. I don't know where blue heron comes from though. So, but I'm pretty sure that is the blue heron that gets referred to very, very rarely. And there is a washroom building out there, and I believe that's the one that's open year round because it seemed to be open when we were there.
Yep.
Anyway, picnic tables, like lots of stuff to do, lots of birding. It's just, I think as far as picnicking areas go, if we're not there in the summer, because I think if we were there in the summer, I would want to picnic at Northwest Beach.
Yeah.
Right. But if we're not there in summer, I think I would say Marsh Boardwalk is the nicest picnic area.
Right.
The next one's dunes. There's several that are just, they're named, but they're not really like a destination. And I would count dunes as one of them. It's like a small, basic one. It's just along a main road, and it's, a picnic pavilion, washrooms, picnic tables, grills, access to the beach. It's really standard.
Yeah, I think some of the smaller ones are, great if you want a little bit more privacy. Mm-hmm. Like obviously it's not, not dedicated to you, but it shouldn't be
it's not a destination is what I'm looking at. Sleepy Hollow is the same as Dunes. It's just super basic. After Sleepy Hollow, though, you come to Madbin Jina, which is the cutest, the cutest of the little picnic areas, like not the ones that are like, Northwest Beach or whatever. This one used to be called Pioneer Picnic Area. They've been doing some kind of a makeover with it. It seemed to be pretty new when we were there last year, and this year it was actually gated off and they were doing something else in there. But last year they had so there was a pavilion, the seasonal washrooms, picnic tables, grills, whatever, and then there's like a teepee and a little cute bear turtle and canoe sculptures, and it's their first First Nation themed picnic area, and the design elements are supposed to pay homage to the Caldwell First Nation, and the name translates to "sit a while," which I mean they made it a very welcoming spot to do just that. Apparently, so we found this out after the fact, but apparently the bear and canoe sculptures had some kind of like a rope climbing element involved with it, but we didn't notice that when we were there. Yeah, and we'd seen some references to the sculptures representing the 7 teachings, but I guess we didn't see all of the sculptures when we were there the first time. I don't know if maybe they were in the process of it where they're still doing some construction, but it's a really, really cute area if it's open when you're there.
Yeah, definitely check it out. The sculptures are really cool to see.
Yeah. Next one's the DeLaurier Homestead and Trail. Like the Marsh Boardwalk, this is like a more involved, but there's picnic tables. This is the only one that didn't have washrooms or grills, though.
Okay.
As far as I could tell, I didn't see any washrooms there. So the next one along the way is Black Willow Beach, which is a bit longer and more open feeling than some of the recent like basic ones. So it has, the pavilion, the washrooms, the picnic tables and grills, and access to the beach, but there's also a little boardwalk trail going up the length of it, with a bunch of little like offshoot boardwalks going out towards the beach. So it's just a really cute area. Next one's White Pine.
This one's a little bit of an odd one.
So I hate saying sketch fest, but like, so there's a little parking lot. Yep. And then you go out to the picnic area, right? Now you pass the picnic pavilion on the way to the washroom, because we've only ever used this one for the washroom because it is one of the year-round ones.
Yep.
The picnic shelter looks like something out of Dexter.
Yeah, it looks like a kill shed.
It does. It's really... do you think it's like that year-round, or do you think they've got something up? Like, I didn't get a close look. Like, are the windows not seasonal, or... I thought they looked permanent.
They look permanent to me, and they have like the plastic, I don't know what it's called, the plastic doors that are like 6-inch wide pieces that you can just push aside, like you see in like in a freezer section.
Like flaps?
Yeah, that's what they've got to the doors. And I poked my head in there this time, and they've actually got like a fireplace thing in there. And that explains, of course, the wood that they've got stored just outside of the building. So I imagine the intent is that you could
do it in the winter?
Yeah, rent or use this in the winter. Or I don't know if you need a deposit, but
I just think that picnic shelters are a summer thing. A building outside clearly doesn't have air conditioning or anything.
Yeah.
It's completely like windowed off, but like it's sketchy windows. Like it's not like clear windows. Like these are.
Yeah, I think time has not done it justice.
Yeah, like it's not specifically frosted, but it kind of has that
It feels like the 1970s just all of a sudden popped in front of you, and it shows its age.
It's just kind of odd, and I imagine it's hotter than hell in there in the summer. So it seems weird. So that whole little area kind of it tweaks my like dislike for outhouses, even though that specifically doesn't have an outhouse. So I don't know how to reconcile that whole thing, but it's just In a park that's so well cared for, it's weird to see like a kill shed pavilion for a picnic pavilion. You know what I mean? Go to our website, or I guess you'll probably pop a picture of it.
Yeah.
It's just it's a little weird. So the next one's the West Beach.
I don't remember the West Beach. Was that the
West Beach? It's longer. Yeah, it's bigger than the other picnic areas. So there's lots of parking. There's a bunch of boardwalks out to the beach. There's picnic shelters and tables and grills and everything else. And then there's also vehicle chargers. Like we said I think I mentioned vehicle chargers. See, I'm still on the kill shed thing.
Yeah.
So anyways, they also have vehicle chargers like the Marsh Boardwalk. They're for Tesla and J1772.
Yep.
I don't know anything about
those
electric vehicles. So.
Those are the common ones, and if you don't have one of those, you probably have an adapter for it.
Okay. So, anyways, another amenity is the shuttle to the tip, which we've taken a couple times now. This is a free shuttle near the visitor center that goes down to the tip tower area. I think it's year round.
Yeah, I think so.
If it's not year round, it's definitely like early in the season because we didn't go there on the main season. It runs every 10 to 15 minutes during whatever the hours are. I know during April it started at 10, was it?
10 a.m.
5 was the latest it
Yep.
would come back.
It was 10 to 5.
The first time I remember it felt a little Jurassic Park getting on there.
It did.
And I don't know why. It's just we got on this thing and then we went through a gate because it's gated off at that time of year. And there was a lot of screeching the whole way too, so that probably helped the Jurassic Park feel. So it takes about 7 minutes to get. It's about 2 kilometer ride down to the tip. I don't know what to say. It's a cute little shuttle.
It's a great service to have, right? It
yeah.
really cuts your walk down and gets you right where you want to be.
Take that right from the visitor center, like right beside the visitor center. There's kind of a little waiting area there for it.
Yep.
So then there's the tip tower.
Yeah. So once you get down to the tip area, there's a nice little area around there, and just next to that is the tip tower.
Scary.
Well, last year I was really disappointed because it was closed. I think they had a maintenance issue they needed to take care
There was
of.
something about the railings, if I remember correctly, that they found the railings weren't super safe, or there was an issue, or so they had to remove that. Now I read that they're still doing cosmetic stuff to it this season, but that it's safe and it's open now. 24 meters tall. Now 24 meters, I don't know if it's just because I spent so much time like in the States and screwing up measurements, but 24 meters doesn't seem like it would be as tall as that tower looks. Like that tower looks crazy tall, and to me 24 meters doesn't sound that tall.
You're right. It really doesn't. And, it's a kind of a triangular lobe thing as you're going up these stairs. And
it's like a spiral staircase.
Yeah. And every time you kind of make a turn at a vertex, you're like, okay, I'm almost near the top. And then you look ahead and no, I'm not. And it just seems to keep going and going. And there's 144 steps. I counted them on the way down.
It seriously looks like there'd be more than that. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, what was it? Point Farms. Do you remember the steps up from Point Farms? Yeah,
I do.
Those were something. So anyways, there's no way I was going up the tower, so Porter went up by himself.
Yep. So the whole thing is that metal lathe grating kind of thing where you can see through it, which is not helping this, fear of heights that I have.
Whatever, you have a fear of heights, my ass.
Maybe not extreme, but, it's a little concerning. And it was extremely windy when I went up there before. Or this time I should say, it was very windy the whole way up and at the top. So
I was surprised because I wanted to get your picture looking down, and you came towards the railing, and you noped out.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, come closer, because the picture I had from you was like the railing was across your face because you were so far back, and you noped out of coming in closer. Not used to that from you. And interestingly, so when you went up, there was a guy coming down. So like a couple minutes after you went up, he came down, looked right at me, and he's like, I'm never doing that again. And then just walked off. And I'm like, well, you confirmed my... I wasn't going to do that. So
I would do it again. It's definitely a really cool view up there. I would encourage anybody to check it out if you feel comfortable doing that. And it is safe. It wasn't swaying in the wind or anything like that.
I imagine that it still feels not super safe up there, though. You know what I mean? Like, if you can see, because you showed me a picture up there. He went to the top of the tower and then took a picture all the way down to the ground through the grating. So there's like 4 platforms, I think, that he shot down through, and you could see through all 4 of them down to the ground. Like that is a no for me. So anyways,
but the view
looked like it was great. I would not do it. Anyway, the next amenity is the EV charging stations, which we'd already mentioned. So there's the 2 of them. It's the Marsh Boardwalk West Beach area. And again, it's the Tesla and the J1772. I think I said that right.
Yes.
So, we're not even to the activities yet. I mean, we've mentioned some of them. But anyway, so let's talk about what you can do in the park. Hiking.
There are several trails of hiking. So I'm going to zip back.
8 of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna zip back to the Marsh Boardwalk because I think that's the first one as you're progressing south. Is that right?
Sort of. There's the Centennial Trail. So we've done
Oh yeah.
several of the trails. Like, I'm going to look at the list here now. So there's 8 trails. There's the Centennial Hike and Bike Trail, which is 6 kilometers one way. It goes up pretty much the length of the park. There's a Marsh Boardwalk, which is a kilometer. We've done that. There's the DeLaurier Homestead Trail. We've done that. Chinquapin Oak Trail, we have not done that. That's 4 kilometer loop. Tilden Woods, 1 kilometer, done it. Shuster Trail, half kilometer, done it. Woodland Nature Trail, done it, and Tip Trail. Okay, so I guess it's just the Centennial Trail and the Chinquapin Oak Trail that we haven't done. So let's go in order. Number 1 is the Centennial Hike and Bike Trail. It says it's a moderate and that there's some inclines and sharp turns. Wouldn't really be able to tell you.
You can view this from the road. It goes parallel to the road, at least for a big chunk of it, if not the whole way.
I have to think that most of that moderate is just length. Like, we see places that will change their rating based on length.
Yeah.
And it can be the flattest thing ever, and they'll still say it's moderate or difficult because of length.
Yeah. In general, the whole area is pretty flat. Yeah. So when I've seen some of the quote hills that they're talking about, and we're talking like it goes up a couple meters and then it comes back down a couple meters.
Over a fair amount of time.
Right.
Like, it's not a straight up couple meters. It's like a very gradual.
Yeah, and all the walking trails that we've done are like dead flat. The bike path here is the quote rough one that will have a little bit of change in incline.
Yeah, and it's the only one that's rated moderate. So again, I think the length has a lot to do with that. Like, some inclines and sharp turns, especially if you're walking, like sharp turns. Ooh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyways, the second one that's listed is the Marsh Boardwalk. That's 1 kilometer loop, and it is wheelchair friendly.
Yeah, so this again is probably my favorite place in the park. It's completely boardwalk the whole way. You're going out over the water. A lot of it is actually floating sections.
It's a little scary.
I know that bothers you, but it is very wide and very stable. You can just kind of feel it moving a little bit. But it's really nice, and you get right out there with nature, right?
Well, speaking of getting out there with nature, you know what the scariest part of that was? And we should probably share a video of this. Do you remember when you were gate-kept from getting on that boardwalk trail this time?
Oh, yeah.
He had a Canada goose, like, blocking the path to the boardwalk, standing there hissing at him.
Yeah.
Like, he would not stop hissing at you. Like, I didn't really want to walk past. I was kind of surprised you did. But he had a little bit of an attitude there. And there's a lot of geese in that area, but this one was particularly territorial, I guess.
Yeah, he didn't really like me very much.
Which is weird, because, like, you're a Disney princess.
I know.
So anyways, there's a big tower there.
Yeah, well, I was talking about the path, though, real quick. When you're out there, there's a swan nest out there. Mm-hmm. And there's actually a spot you can stop and have a break if you need, with some seating and stuff like that on the trail.
Yeah, it's really cute. And there's seating along the trail, too. Like, there's these little kind of, not cutouts, what would they be? Like, almost like a little deck off the side of it.
Yeah.
With a bench that overlooks part of the marsh. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. But then, like you were saying, the tower there is really cool. There are some sparrows that nest in the area. I've seen them pretty much every time I walk up there.
That one's less scary than the other tower.
Oh yeah, it is nice and wide and again very stable and everything. Yeah.
No grates to see through.
Yeah, so you're going up there, and we go there, as you've mentioned, extremely early. So the birds and everything are just coming out, and I guess feeding and everything else. And
the sunrises at this location are some of the best I've seen anywhere. Just because where the sun comes up.
Yeah.
If you get there on a day that's got a pretty... Actually, even we've been there on days where the sunrise itself isn't amazing.
Yeah.
But the way it comes up over the marsh is gorgeous.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that if you're up there anytime near dawn.
Honestly, make a point of getting there at dawn, because it's totally worth it.
It is. But what I found really cool is all the birds flying beneath you. So you're in this tower, and you get to actually see the tops of the birds when they're flying by, which is just a rare thing, right? Normally you just see their butts.
But what wasn't cool was that time when you were up there. This was when I first saw my first kingfisher, and it's before you saw the kingfisher at all. And I was on the ground because I was too chicken shit to go up there. And you came down. You were up there, and kingfisher flew right by me, and I felt guilty.
Well, I did get to see a red-winged blackbird attack a great blue heron when I was up there.
Red-winged blackbirds are such ducks.
They are.
Like red-winged blackbirds and blue jays. Like, what was the bird? The blue jay, was that a Cooper's hawk?
Yes.
We saw a blue jay go after a bald eagle one time too.
Yeah, so at a different location, I was taking photos of a Cooper's hawk. A blue jay flew to a branch immediately above it and took a dump almost on the hawk.
Yeah, blue jays, man. Anyway, let's get to the next trail because this is going to be a long post. The DeLaurier Homestead Trail. Now, we've done that twice.
Yep.
So it's kind of a weird one. It says that it's 1 kilometer long loop or 0.25 kilometer short loop. Now, I think the 0.255 kilometer short loop is if you just walk around the Homestead building, because there's kind of a boardwalk that goes around that.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of anywhere else. And then when we actually did it, that it comes out to like 1.4 kilometers or something if you actually do the outside loop.
Right.
So I don't know how you get the 1 kilometer or how you get the 1.25, but it's in that neighborhood. It's very easy. It's flat. There's some boardwalk sections. This is where the red chairs are. If you're looking for the red chairs, spoilers, but it's very cute. You go over kind of a marsh area where there's signage that tells you about how homesteads back in the day a lot of times would have canals to canoe up and down to get to different areas of the homestead. Decent birding there. So it's a nice little walk.
Yeah, it is. The red chairs in particular are out on a dock, and it's kind of cool because the water is open a very long way there. Like normally,
like it's a straight shot of just open water.
Yeah, whereas
narrow.
There's like reeds and things everywhere else, and all of a sudden, I don't know if it was intentionally carved out or not, but it's like whoosh.
I think that's the canal they were talking about for getting around.
Yeah, but I don't know if they actually maintain it to stay open or if it just happens to be.
And then there's a little, what would you call it? Like a little observation tower thing?
Yeah.
On the trail?
Yeah, it's not as tall as the other ones, but yeah, another great place to view the wildlife.
Yep. So the next trail is the Chinquapin Oak Trail, which is a 4 kilometer loop. It's listed as being wheelchair accessible. We have not done this one. So all I know about it is that it's got access to a cemetery site in the park. Next one is Tilden Woods. You've done that one a couple times now, and I still haven't done it because every time we do it, I kind of have to. Both trips this time I was having tendon issues, so I kind of had to. What's the word I'm looking for? Budget my mobility.
Yep. Yes. The Tilden Woods branches off of the Shuster Trail. So I'm actually going to start with the Shuster Trail, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I did Shuster Trail. 0.5 kilometer one way, straight shot out from the parking lot at the visitor center. Yeah,
so the Tilden Woods has got the same real kind of vibe to it, where it's that nice wide path through the woods. Again, a lot of wildlife. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Which one are you talking about now? Because you just went back to... Let's talk Shuster Trail.
Shuster Trail is basically a straight out shot out to the beach. Like you said, near the end in particular, it's got a real kind of closed in feel. Like you really feel like you're super in the woods.
Tunnel.
Yeah.
Like I remember there was like a tunnel feeling, and then you get to, there's like this little light at the end of the tunnel, and you get to the little light, and it just, all of a sudden, it's like this like gateway to this big open beach area that's gorgeous.
Yeah, but the Shuster Trail and the Tilden Woods, obviously are very similar because the Tilden Woods branches off of it. Tilden Woods does have some more variety where it does go by some marshy area. It does open up in this one particular spot with some benches. That's really cool. So it's a lovely walk, and I highly recommend it. And like I said, we'll get to the wildlife, but I had some good luck over in that area.
Yeah, that seemed to be a really good one. The Woodland Nature Trail is it's 2.75 kilometer loop. That comes out near the right side of the visitor center, I think is where that one starts out. So It's rated easy. It's got some boardwalk sections and exhibits. That one has a trail guide available. You did that one for the first time this trip.
I did. So this one's got, if you look at the map, it looks like it has a few really straight sections to it. It's kind of an odd shape. But what I appreciated about it is it was zigzaggy enough where it's not just walking down like a rail trail where you can see all the way to the end. What I appreciate about this one, it really is the variety. So it's got like low bushes. It's got some swampy-ish areas with some dead trees. It's got obviously live trees in a lot of areas. So if you're looking for nature, for wildlife, there's a lot of variety for them to habitat, of course. And even if you're not, just the variety and views as you're walking around it is really cool.
We call it ADD friendly.
It is ADD friendly. Now there is a red bud footpath that kind of branches through it. The signage is really clear for if you want to take that branch. I did not go on that. I just stayed on the Woodland
I
HL
think those are
trail the
supposed to
whole
be a
way.
bit more rough too.
They are, I believe.
Anyways, the last trail is the tip trail.
Yes.
So this is a half-kilometer trail that takes you from the drop-off point, like the parking lot area, where they drop you from the trolley, I guess it is, the little shuttle.
Yep.
That you walk up to the tip. So again, like all the other trails that we've been on, it's very wide, very flat. That one's not paved, right?
I think it's a
packed gravel.
Yeah, it's a packed gravel.
The thing is that these trails are so wide and so flat and so well groomed that mentally I have a hard time remembering if they were paved or not, just because they're so flat and so easy. Like, it's not like you're kicking gravel up or anything like that, so it kind of feels like you're walking on paved, even if it's not.
I agree.
Anyways, this takes you up to the tip. Very easy walk. Bring a jacket.
It does get very windy.
I was surprised because it was really hot the day we were there, but the wind coming off Lake Erie was bitter.
Yeah.
So the half-kilometer takes you up to the beach.
Yes.
Which is a long kind of sandbar out from there. It is, for those of you that have foot tendon problems like me, it is the kind of sand where it's a bit difficult to walk on because you kind of, like, your heel or your toe sinks. My heel, the way I walk, my heel sinks. So it's the kind of sand that's a bit of a tendon workout to walk on. To get to the tip. Now, the interesting thing with this beach is that it is, apparently the state of it varies wildly over the year. I thought it looked about the same this year as it did last year for us, right?
Yeah.
This guy was talking to me while you went out to the tip because I couldn't walk the sand this year. And he was telling me that last year you could walk a full kilometer of beach. And I can't even picture that. But then he also said that at one point that it was like almost completely covered in water.
Yeah.
So I guess the water heights vary wildly.
Yeah, I didn't check the distance when I went out this time, but I walked the entire beach out to the tip again. It was more than 5 minutes for me to walk it, and I was walking with purpose. Yeah. So I wasn't running, but I was trying to get to the tip kind of quickly. So expect a bit of a hike, and like you said, it's a challenging walking on that beach. I was also trying not to kick sand into my shoes, which I failed miserably at.
Yeah. Now the tip is the actual southernmost point of the landmass of Canada. Like, if you ignore Pelee Island, then that is the I feel like there's a specific way you're supposed to say this, and I'm not.
I think mainland Canada, like you said. Canada, you said that earlier.
It's brain fart. So what's interesting there? Now, you're not allowed to enter the water at any point past the drop-off point for the tip trail, because apparently the water there is like stupid dangerous.
You can see that it's dangerous. Like, I'm not an expert at all in dangerous water, and I would not want to walk out there.
It's really interesting. Well, I mean, if you, like, the water to the side, like, before you get to the tip, like, I think the water on the sides of the trail don't look stupid dangerous, but when you look at the tip, there's two completely different tides, I guess, or waves or whatever.
Yeah.
And they hit each other, and they come up with these really weird square wave patterns.
They do.
You know what I mean? I could totally see that being dangerous as hell, but apparently they've had like quite a few deaths out there and everything, so you're not even allowed to wade in the water down there. But it is really interesting to watch this time around. So, like, last time we saw the waves, you could see them coming in from both directions, making those weird square patterns. This time around, what I thought was interesting is that one side was wavy and one side was like still, and it was, if you look down the tip, you'd see the sand, and then on the water on one side of the sand was almost like it was one color, and then the sand, the water on the other side was like bright blue. So it was like still, I think it was like still and kind of not murky, but like, and then the other side was like blue and wavy, and it was stunning to just see. There was like a very clear delineation where these two different like water masses met.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you could definitely see that one side was kind of winning. It was like sweeping over further into the other
It wasn't
side.
like straight out, because I think last year, basically the tip was like there was like a straight line out from the tip where the I guess crossover happened, and this time the right side, the west side, was winning.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone that goes there often is like, oh, I guess the east side's making progress this time, or winning the war this time, you know.
West side.
You're so weird. Anyway, yeah, it's fun to go down to the very tip. You gotta, you know, do your selfie and whatnot, not at the tip of the southern tip.
Definitely.
We've been to two extremes of Canada so far. We were out at the furthest east point.
Yes.
On our honeymoon. So now there's 4 extremes, obviously.
Right.
Are we committed now that we've got half of them that we have to see the other 2?
Oh, the northernmost one sounds like an amazing adventure, but also a little challenging.
But
it would be really cool.
I mean, technically, if we're doing because we didn't go to Pelee Island, and we didn't leave Newfoundland, we were on Newfoundland. So
yeah,
technically, it would have to be the northernmost point of mainland Canada, which is a very different ballgame than if we were to go to the northernmost point of Canada.
This is true.
You know what I mean? Like, you still wouldn't be able to drive to the northernmost point of Canada, but it's. I think it's different than if we were to go out to. I don't honestly even know what the northernmost point of Canada is, but I think it would be an adventure. So I don't know. Anyways, we should discuss that at some point, because that sounds like something we might need to commit to. Anyway, so we're still ranting about trails at this point. So there's also the footpaths. There's several footpaths, and they're just known as being, like we said, a bit rougher. So there's one off the I can't even pronounce that, Chinquapin Oak Trail is the Cactus Field footpath. There's the Redbud footpath, which is in the middle, kind of crosses the Woodland Nature Trail. There's a Sparrowfield footpath. I can't talk. Footpath, just north of the Tip Exhibition area on the east side of the park. And then there's a West Beach footpath, which is a long footpath going from the West Beach down to the Tip Tower area. So that's what you can take along the. Now I bet that is windy, you know, but that is if you don't want to take the shuttle, you can walk the whole way down on that footpath.
Yeah.
Whew, okay, so biking.
Yeah, biking. We mentioned the Centennial Bike Trail is the place to go for biking. We've seen a lot of bikes in the area. It's a very popular thing to bike down to the tip, from what I'm seeing.
Well, there's 12 kilometers of groomed bike trails in the park, as well as you're allowed to bike on 9 kilometers of roads in the park. The seasonal trails for biking are only open June to October, but you can bike on the roads all year long. They actually rent bikes out by the Marsh Boardwalk Trail. I don't know what else to say about biking. So swimming, there's beaches. There are beaches, and you're not allowed to enter the water south of the shuttle drop-off.
Yeah.
We go in April, as we've said, so we have not been to the beaches other than to look, but I imagine it's a nice place to swim. There is apparently 20 kilometers of beach at this park. Not all of it's really accessible by car. There's some beach over on the east side where you either have to canoe it or walk way up a beach from the Shuster Trail to get to it. So that's I wonder what those are like. I bet they're pretty cool.
I bet they're nice, and just you get your own beach, I would imagine.
I know, but there's no washing facilities out there.
Yeah.
So that's a logistics issue. One thing to mention, though, is that you can use the beach at the tip. Like, there's a beach there. You just can't go in the water. So if you want to chill on the sand, you're welcome to. You just can't do anything in the water. I guess we should get to birding.
There are a couple of birds there.
A couple, eh?
So I'd mentioned the Marsh Boardwalk a couple times. That's probably my favorite place to go for birding.
Well, let's go order if when you get in there. Is almost as soon as you get in the park, we always see turkeys. That's
a good point. There's turkeys all the way down the road. The speed limit is 40 kilometers an hour, and there's a good reason for that, because you will hit a turkey if you go any faster.
I'd go slower than that, honestly, just to be able to see them, because they'll march out. We saw a little bit of turkey drama this time. There was a couple of male turkeys that seemed to be having a little dance off or something.
Yeah, they were definitely showing off for the ladies.
So anyways, Marsh Boardwalk's probably the first big birding spot as you enter the park. It's the first big one.
Right. So we've seen great blue herons there. I think every time we've been there, if not every time, pretty darn close to it.
Well, it's one of the largest freshwater marshes in southern Ontario, and it's a Ramsar wetland of international significance. So it's a pedigreed birding site.
It definitely is nice. Also seen a lot of northern flickers there, and
they're so cute. Oh, you know, you saw the video, but at one point he went off chasing. Was that the blue heron at one time? And I was in the parking lot, and there's this little brown creeper that he was on the canoe rack thing.
Yeah.
He was being so cute. So you'll have to add video of that to this because it was just he's a really fat little ball of bird. He's so cute.
Brown creepers are really cute. Huh? They're basically a sphere with a beak.
Yeah, there's some skinnier ones, but the last few we've seen have been like little balls, and they kind of like flick.
Yeah.
Anyways, the big news this time.
The kestrel.
The kestrel. We finally saw one.
Yeah, it was.
You got a little cheated out of a kestrel. It's shortly before that, because when we were at Rondeau, we saw a kestrel on a power post or whatever, and he flew off before you could get a picture.
Yep.
So you got your kestrel now.
Yeah, I spotted a kestrel on a tree out on the actual boardwalk a bit. Started to walk toward it. It flew off. I was disappointed, but I saw where it landed, and I walked down the path, which is just beyond where they do the rentals. And it, again, saw me and flew off, but I decided to wait there a bit and kind of hid behind a tree. Sure enough, it came back, and then I got some really good shots. Interesting thing is, it was glaring at me. It did not like me. But a northern flicker came up and started screaming his head off. He didn't care.
Like, literally meters away from this
Yeah.
on the same tree, even.
Right, and Flicker was kind of looking up at him and stuff, and I'm just like, well, why do you care about me? I just want pictures.
Yeah. I think they know cameras. Like, I think there's a reason that there's camel covers for cameras.
Yeah.
I think they associate them with guns or something. Like, I think, because there's been plenty of times where a bird did not give a shit that you were there, and then you lifted the camera, and then they're gone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely true.
So, the big ones we see there now, pretty much every time we've gone to the boardwalk, we've seen a great blue heron.
Yes.
Like, there was one this time landed right on the railing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cool. I was about 3 meters away from one. Unfortunately, it wasn't a great view because he was in some reeds, but he didn't care that I was there. Another one I love that are around there are the tree swallows. They're so cute.
They are so cute. There's a lot of tree swallows on the DeLaurier trail also.
Yes.
So we could talk about the birding of this all day long because honestly, we spent entire hours and hours birding at this park. So as far as locations go, the Marsh Boardwalk, I think, is your favorite.
Yep.
But the Tilden Woods Trail, you had really good, this time. See, the thing is, last time when we went birding, last year, we didn't know what we were looking at. We didn't have any kind of bird identification apps. We didn't have as good of a camera. So we were kind of like, oh, that's a great blue heron. And we had a red-winged blackbird screaming at us and whatever. But we didn't really know what to look for, or what we were hearing or anything. So this time we went more equipped and definitely had a more fulfilling experience with it.
We did.
So the Tilden Woods Trail this time, you had spectacular.
I did. In particular, I got a Carolina wren. Not only did I get great photos, but I actually got good video of it singing its head off.
And that's one that's eluded you for a while.
It has. I've heard it a few times, and I've kind of spotted it in the distance, but never really able to get a good photo. So I was really happy to get photo and video of that one. But yeah, there were a lot of things, a lot of woodpeckers in the area. It was a great spot to go for birding.
There was one northern flicker that, because when you were out walking at one point, I was kind of chilling in the car. He kept landing right in front of me and just going to town on the lawn. So I don't know if it was dewy or if it brought worms up or anything, but he was quite interested in that lawn.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, why don't you tell us what we overall what you heard and saw there?
Yeah, so this is a big list, so settle in. We've heard or saw an American goldfinch, American kestrel, American robin, belted kingfisher, blue jay, brown creeper, brown-headed cowbird, Canada goose, Carolina wren, common grackle, downy woodpecker, eastern phoebe, eastern towhee, European starling, golden crowned kinglet, great blue heron, horned grebe. The horned grebes, by the way, are down at the actual tip. I've seen them both last year and this year right at the very, very tip on the beach.
They're weird looking.
They are, but they're really cool. Louisiana water thrush, mourning dove, northern cardinal, northern flicker, northern mockingbird, osprey, red-bellied woodpecker, red-winged blackbird, lots of those, ruby-crowned kinglet, song sparrow, swamp sparrow, tree sparrow, tufted titmouse, turkey vulture.
Lots.
Lots of turkey vultures, as well as real turkeys. White-breasted nuthatch, white-throated sparrow, and wild turkey, as we mentioned.
You know what we didn't mention was the bald eagle.
The bald eagle, also, you're right. We'll have to edit this list. Overall, it's a great place. Even if you're not into birding, you're going to see a lot of really cool things. So definitely just keep your head up and keep an eye out for them.
So what can you tell me about boating?
So we mentioned that you can rent canoes, and it looks like a really great place to go canoeing because there's plenty of water, obviously, and lots of wildlife in the area. We haven't done it. It's something that we're going to have to do in future trips, but that's definitely something to check out for sure. Now, for fishing, it's actually not allowed there. It hasn't been allowed for a few years now. So, and that's it also includes catch and release. So don't bother to bring your fishing gear.
No fishing. So it goes without saying, but this is like listed as another activity you can do. There's photography. So for the most part, our photography has been birding photography. Wildlife photography in general is just really popular at that park. But as I said, like the sunset or sunrise photography, over the Marsh Boardwalk is absolutely stunning. And landscape photography in general is apparently a really big thing out there. So, because they've got a lot of different environments and whatnot. Photographers are asked not to trample on plants or harass animals. You can't stalk animals or pose with wild animals. And you're not allowed to feed them. And you're not supposed to use animal calls to attract them either. So, finally, if you're going to do any kind of professional photography, like if you're going to do an engagement shoot or anything like that, you do need a special license from the park in order to do that.
So it is a dark sky area. It's been declared to be a dark sky preserve for a couple decades now. So that's a great spot for night sky viewing. Mm-hmm. We haven't been out there at night. We did get there before dawn a couple times, but that doesn't really count because it's already starting to get kind of light out by then. But it would be a great place to check out any kind of astrophotography.
Yep. So then there's Niantic games. So there are a ton of Ingress portals and Pokestops and Pokegyms and whatnot. The biggest concentrations are at the Marsh Boardwalk area and the DeLaurier Homestead Trail. There's also high concentrations near the visitor center and the tip, but the cellular reception there, at least on Rogers Wireless, is kind of crap. So I wouldn't plan on getting your Niantic gaming on there. But overall, I mean, it's a day use park for the most part, so you're not really going to... I wouldn't go there anyways. It's just if you're kind of there and you need to get your daily spin in or whatever, like those are the areas I'd go to.
Yeah. Speaking of mostly day use park, there is actually camping available, but it's very limited.
It's very limited. So they've got 24 authentic cabins, I guess. I think they call it, it's like a cross between an A-frame cabin and a prospector tent. I think it's on like a wooden platform and it's like a permanent structure, but not like a super robust shelter or something. The thing is that while pets are welcome in some of them, we have an abundance of cats. So
yeah,
renting cabins isn't really a thing that we can do. So we don't camp in cabins, and that's the only option here. There are 24 of them. They're walk-in, which was interesting. It's a very small parking lot because there's 24 cabins, right? So the parking lot seems incredibly small for that amount. You're only allowed one parking spot per rented cabin. And there's like these little like wagons to take your stuff out to the cabin with. Honestly, don't know a ton about the whole thing. There's a lot of information that you can see on their website and everything, though. Like you've got to bring your own like linens and stuff, but they do have some dishes and you're supposed to clean up after yourself. It's cabins aren't really our thing. So
right.
What else is there to say?
There's some other stuff in the area.
Oh,
so
the nearby attractions, yeah.
right. So there's Point Pelee Island and Middle Island. Now, I unfortunately know almost nothing about these.
Yeah, so Point Pelee Island is that is the southernmost point of Canada, full stop. There's a ferry located in Leamington. We've seen it pass a few times now. Probably about 10 minutes away from the park. There's only a few crossings per day, though, and it's an hour and a half crossing time. So that is a commitment that, again, because we've got a lot of cats and we need to feed them, that's not so much something that we're going to be able to do. Another one that I would like to be able to do, but that we're not really going to be able to do, is the Middle Island one. So Middle Island is a really small island. It's like less than 19 hectares in size. And it's highly, highly regulated because it's considered a Zone 1 special preservation area. You can't visit it at all between March 1st and September 1st. I'm assuming because of bird migration and nesting and whatnot. I kind of want to know what's nesting out there.
Yeah.
But there's no, it's not a great place to access because there's no formal tours to the island. There's no docks there. September through March. I mean, you saw what the water looked like south of Point Pelee.
Yeah.
Like September through March is the roughest time for water. So you're going to have to go out there in something small enough that you can get to an island without a dock on September to March water.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we'd want to do that,
No.
quite honestly. And then there's no visitor facilities out there. So there's no washrooms or shelters or anything like that. So, it sounds like an interesting piece of wilderness. I don't know how. I think I'd want to look up YouTubes for people that have done it and just kind of live vicariously.
Yeah.
So, final thoughts.
It's okay. I guess skip it. Just kidding. No, I love it. I'm definitely looking forward to going back again. Like I said, even if you're not into birding, there's so much to offer. And if you are into birding and catching the migration, it's just a really cool wonderland.
It is very wonderland, isn't it? And I love that Borch area. Where did I come up with Marsh area? And I'm all about the sunrises. Like the sunrises there, he's more into the birding, but the sunrises there are just spectacular. So I will never argue about getting up stupid early to go to Point Pelee from when we're staying in Wheatley. And just a great park. So definitely recommend visiting it.
Absolutely. Check out all this information on our blog. We've got all these photos and all this information. Yeah, it's all laid out and broken up nice and organized. While you're there, if you want to get notices about new blogs that we put out, you can subscribe to our quote newsletter.
It's not really a newsletter.
No, it's just a notification about new posts, so you're not going to get spam.
And it's automated because I don't have the spoons to tell people, hey, I put a blog post out. So I think it's once a week. It just sends something out saying, hey, here are the new blog posts on Geek Nerds.
Yep.
So I know for me, like if I don't really follow blogs. I probably should. I feel like if I'm a blogger, I should follow blogs. I don't. But if I did, and if I had a blog I really liked, I would subscribe to it because I am very out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
So I recommend subscribing.
And same on YouTube. If you want to check out more of our TLDRs, we're going to be putting out more and more of these. Subscribe to us here, like it to let us know you like our stuff, and we'll definitely be putting out more and more content.
Yeah, definitely comment if you've been to Point Pelee and you have your own, tips or favorite spots, because we're obvious tips. You're a dork. No, because we're going to be going again for sure, and I'd love to hear. We've only been there. I mean, we've been there a bunch of times now, but we've been there over two trips. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we spent 3 days in Wheatley, and we were there
All
5 times.
Yeah.
We can go before lunch and after lunch and whatever. So, but I would love to hear from people that are more seasoned visitors of the site to see if they've got any, favorite spots or anything that we should check out.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Anyways, we will talk to you again soonish, I hope.
TLDR.